How are you doing today? Coffee? I'm almost done. I have to refresh. Meanwhile, how are you guys doing? Tell me a little bit. What are you guys struggling with this week? How are you dealing with this craziness? We just got a notification today in Oregon that the limitations of stores and all this stuff will be limited until July. Oh man. I mean, I'm happy about it because everybody will stay safe, but for those people who running a business, is it a pet business, pet shop, veterinary clinic, and all this stuff, this is a problem. I mean, people out there closing their business because they are not making it through, and you know, it's, people are going online. Meanwhile, but we know that already. We do that for many years. We know how that goes. So, hi again. This is Ron with Holistic Dog Training, and we're having coffee today. So, tell me a little bit. What are you guys struggling with this week? Tell me a little bit. What exactly are your goals? What are you struggling with your dog? Is he barking at you? Um, is he doing weird things that you don't know about? Congratulations, Vicky. Awesome. Hi, we are in Phoenix. 4 weeks ago, we adopted a Great Dane. Yep, a Great Dane must be. So, it's a good thing to do. Sorry. And I feel um, we should be very aware of that. These 4 weeks were very crucial for your dog to integrate in the family, right? So it's important the dog to integrate in the family, understand the rules. We have a whole class coming up soon. Maybe you guys, if you're interested, joining the class, maybe you want to message me your email and I put you in our mailing list for these upcoming classes. So I have a wonderful, super awesome um, adoption slash education class that's coming up next. It is kind of like a video live class, but the way it's structured is amazing because it has the video part of it. It's kind of like a video presentation and me talking like blah blah blah. You know how I do, giving you all this information. It will be very fluid, but then you have also documents that are attached to that presentation, separate. So it's a whole system, kind of like a self-paced own class where you basically graduate as awesome. So you will have the presentation, walk you through the process, what to do in these first 4 weeks. And then another class is about puppy training, which is very important too. And then we have documents that brings you into deeper sense of why is this thing. So instead of spending hours blah 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 talking about that, I have documents that helps you kind of read into it, and you can go really deep here, right? You can look scientific evidence, why we do what we do, and why do dogs think like that, and what's the consequence of doing certain things. Then we're gonna have some videos attached, so you can click on those videos and see how I solve problems that we talk about and how other people solve problems we talk about. So you will see different versions. You see clients that are work online, how they do different things, and you get a better picture because each dog is individual. They do things for a reason, and even though they are the same breeds, they behave like Great Danes, for example, here with Vicky. So the dog behaves like a Great Dane, but not all Great Danes behave the same. Even Great Danes from the same litter and the same sex can behave differently. Why? Because dogs are unique, and a dog's brain is different wired. Okay, so we have different brain wiring on the dog. The one is more confident, the other one is less confident, the other one is a little bit more scared. You know, so you want to comment below. You want to put your in comments. Tell me how you feel this week. Hi, Mateja. How are you doing? Oh, Mateja. Um, Mat- Mateja, right? Make it right. That's a good question. How do you teach the word no? Good. So Mateja is from Slovenia. Am I right? I don't want to make any mistakes here. I know you guys already separated countries. Back then, when I was in Europe, it was still Yugoslavia with all these pieces in it. So how do you teach the no command? No is actually not a command. It's more like a warning. Okay, the dog can still make whatever he wants as a choice. So I basically took two words. Leave it would be a command, and no is kind of like a marker. It's a negative marker. So we have, usually people confuse that and say no, 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 no to things, and the dog should figure out what exactly do you mean, and that's confusing to the dog. It gets very frustrated because no is not a solution. It's just a marker. Marker to what? What should I do next? Okay, so if a dog chews on something, and you say the word no, no what? Not chewing, not wanting to satisfy myself of what I need to do. Okay, now we want to recognize that no for the dog means nothing until it means something. What I teach the dogs to do, no means stay away from it, let it go, and return to safe space. Not because I told you, it's because that's what feels good. So usually what I do is I take my dog out for a walk. I'm walking down the street and let him smell. I'm on a long leash. Let him smell something. I say the word no, and I'm running backwards. And then I offer a treat. My dog gets that anxiety, not excitement, anxiety from me. No, and moving backwards. And that anxiety is what I'm expressing the dog. It feels like no means anxiety, and anxiety means I want to move away from there. So I transmit that anxiety to the dog, walk away from that 180 degrees where I came from, going in and then going out, and then stop and pet my dog for coming with me. No means walk away from there as you came from and be in a safe place with me. Why is that important? Because we want to teach the dog that no means really no harm. It means like here is better than there. I want to reward this. Now, sometimes people use no and punishing it. And I'm telling you a short story. It was a Great Dane, by the way, Vicky. It was in Texas, Austin, if I remember right. And there was this young puppy, about 7 months old. I need a sip of my coffee. It was 7 months old, and the dog was aggressive. So I came in, the dog was in a baby pan, like a real baby pan. And the owner told me that this is aggressive, and I was very careful. I had my treats in my hands, like offer the treat. And he was wagging his tail, was super happy about it. And I was like, that's not an aggressive dog. And so I pet the dog, and he's fine. He's just slobbering me. He's kind of cute Dane, 7-month-old puppy, you know, this giant thing. And then suddenly, he jumped up on that playpen. And then the owner said, no. Holy shit, that dog went nuts. He almost bit me in the face. What was that? What did just happen? The dog was conditioned with the word no, that no means danger. The dog was just curious, and then the owner said no, and the dog thought that I'm dangerous. That's why his mom said no. You see where I'm coming with that? So you have to be very careful how you teach your words and your markers, because you don't want that to become dangerous. What do you do with a baby? If the dog wants to go to the baby, you tell the dog no. You want to kill the baby because he thinks that's dangerous to you and I can take care of business? No, right? So we have to be very careful. If we say to a child no, what does it mean? It is an intellectual idea. No doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any consequences. Does it have to have consequences? Do we want the dog to have a consequence for not following the no? What would that be? A punishment? A reward? I think following no as a marker to stay away from it and come to a safe place, whatever that is, and never go back again, I'll reward that. It's a good reward to do, because it's the marking that makes the situation be a certain way, and then the dog makes a free choice to do whatever he feels is right. And usually coming to me is totally safe. Now, it's a good question for somebody who will say, well, dude, that's a smart thing to say, but what if my dog is on the other side of the street and wants to come to me? And I don't want him to do that. I agree with you. No is not a good option because there's nothing wrong with the dog coming to me. What you need there, right, is stay. See, stay is another command. Stay means don't move. No means stay away from it, whatever that is. And leave it is associated to a particular item. No is a general idea. Make sense? Vicky Danes, 2 weeks ago, a 10-week-old English Mastiff. Oh, good. Okay. Socialization is a great thing to do. Speaking of socialization, the most important period on a dog's life is between 8 and 14, but let's say 6 and 14 weeks. And why is that? Because his brain is being reconfigured. In old times, it's important. That's why I'm sharing that with you. In old times, when a herding dog, for example, would do a certain behaviors with the sheep that he was working on or with, and he starts showing certain behaviors, the sheep herds would remove the puppy from that situation, will separate them for the puppy, not having interact with that, and after the 14 weeks, they put the dog back into that game. The reason why is in that stage of development between 4 and 16 weeks, 6 and 14 weeks, the dog's drives are evolved. The genetic configuration, making it simple, are being triggered. So the dog goes to this pattern to do things that my genetics tells me to do. And if they don't work, then we don't use them. So if the dog goes into prey drive with his sheeps, and his prey drive is bigger than his herding instinct, he starts chasing the sheeps. But that's a development stage. So if I don't have sheeps to change, that development will not go anywhere. It will be underdeveloped. Okay? And if that development passes, then I bring the dog back to the sheeps and that development period is shut off. So I'm not saying you should restrain your dog if he shows any way weird things that you don't want, but you should avoid that particular trigger your dog is triggered by. An example, if your dog, and you're welcome to share if you want that video because I know you guys want to see only you want only your own coffee with me. When we want to look for is when the dog shows any starting behaviors, we want the dog to recognize that these behaviors are not opportunistic. Okay? So you have small children, they're loud, they're playing loud, the dog is triggered by chasing them. So he has a high chase drive. I would remove the child from the equation. Don't let the dog deal with the children. Keep him separate. Do different things with him. Education, training, walks, agility, small things, where the dog gets confident about stuff. Do other stuff, socialization, other than that triggers him to chase. 14 weeks, introduce him back again to the same thing. It goes smoother, much easier. So why expose your dog to a situation he cannot deal with and his genetics tells him to do certain things and then you're punishing him for doing that? What you're going to achieve is you're going to make it worse. The dog gets frustrated. Frustration leads to aggression. And aggression is not what you want, right? So, do you guys have any questions so far? Thank you, by the way. Again, this is Roman with Holistic Dog Training. And we are here to have coffee. So comment below. Start with your name, dog's gender, age, breed, before your questions, so I know exactly what the situation is. And then we can talk about stuff, because today we just have coffee and talk with the behaviorist, right? By the way, I need some extra coffee. Let me see if I can do that without you getting kicked out from here. Stay tuned. I'm just going to get some fresh coffee. Okay, and I am back with my coffee, and you guys have time to get the refreshment as well. Oh, here we go. So, let's see, any comments? No comments yet. So, by the way, I have a big announcement to do, so stay tuned. So, next time, I will have a very dear friend. His name is Colin, and he's from the UK. I'm not saying a lot because he will be my co-host. So we're gonna two behaviorists sitting and having coffee with you, and you can flood us with questions. And I guarantee you there is no question we cannot answer. Okay, I don't know what kind of shoe you're wearing, and I don't know what you're feeding your dog because we are not psychics. But whatever dog behavior is out there and you guys have a problem with, we're gonna share it. So he will be in England having tea, and I will be here in Oregon having coffee. So we're going to slightly change the idea of tea and coffee with a behaviorist. So either you're in England or in Europe or here in the US having coffee or tea, I'm going to answer all the questions you guys have in one session. I don't know exactly if we do it Saturday or Sunday, so we want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So I'm going to post the link tomorrow. I'm going to share it with you. So if you want to be notified, you have to follow me on Facebook or follow the group where you see that post. So you get notifications. Okay, so you get notified every time, we do a live post. And so you're not missing anything. Meanwhile, you can post any questions you have. You can share it with your friends. And actually, I'll do the same while you guys refresh your coffee. So what else did you guys do this week? So here's what you can do. You comment below, start with your name, your dog's gender, age, breed, before any question. And me, Roman, with Holistic Dog Training, will answer you all the questions you have as much as I can. So, what else do we have? Anything we can discuss today quickly? So, thank you, Vicky and Mattia, for your feedback. And other things, tell me a little bit where you guys are watching from. I see we have some viewers here. Maybe you want to share. Hi, Kelly. How are you doing? Hi, Liz. It's raining here. It's supposed to rain all day long, so it's not tough to be inside, but you guys must be freaking out, right? So feel welcome to share the video, have other people share a coffee. We have a big coffee table. You know what? It's a big coffee table. It's not the real picture, okay? Don't take me wrong, but it's supposed to look something like this. It's a big thing, right? So we want to make sure. Hi, Sydney, Phoenix, Arizona. I just moved away from there. So what are you guys doing there? What's your dog? You have a dog? What dog do you have, Sydney? Oh my God, he's such a smooch face. He's so cute. So just a reminder, announcement that next week I will have Colin sitting with me. Oh, Sydney, Philia, perfect. So Philias are awesome dogs. I feel there's a misconception about those dogs. People think dogs who are Mastiff breeds you have to treat them like they were animals, and you have to be this super tough person, be rough with your dog, and be the leader and the alpha. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about that? I see. I'm being tagged by many posts sometimes, um, and I see all these comments. Yesterday, a person posted a post that he was trying to clip the dog's nails, and the dog turned around and beat this person. And then what happened next was he got injured, and so he went to the vet, of course, right? And then the dog went nuts. He put him a muzzle on. There's two people on a dog with two leashes holding the dog back. The dog got ballistic, and then the vet said, "Well, the dog is aggressive, has to be put to sleep." What the? Why? Doesn't make any sense. It was a mastiff puppy, by the way. It was, I think, about a year old. So why would the veterinarian suggest such a thing? A, he's not a behaviorist, so he cannot suggest such a thing, right? And then they don't recognize that the reason why the dog attacked that person and eventually go crazy about the vet, maybe it had a past experience. Maybe it was a trauma. Maybe that dog had an experience of somebody cutting his nails, hurting him consistently a couple, 2 or 3 times in a row, and then the dog has a PTSD event. And then suddenly, the people want to go to the dog and do the same thing, and the dog goes nuts and bites. It's not the dog, it's his reflex. Sydney, I understand. We're going to talk about that. So, but then the dog went to the vet with already that experience in mind, goes close to that vet. And these people are strangers. Maybe they were the ones who triggered the problem in the first place, causing the dog that PTSD response, and then they put the dog to sleep or wanted to put the dog to sleep because of that behavior. It doesn't make any sense. So, Sydney, there is a certain level of alpha involved, but they are sweet, most respectful dogs I ever had. I agree with respectful dogs and agree with them involved, but let's talk about a little bit with the alpha thing. It's kind of my favorite. The term alpha, let's talk about the history. The term alpha stems from the breeders. So there's a breeding pair, the alpha male and the alpha female, because they were the alpha of the alphabet of that breeding family, of the breeder that has. So he recognized that alpha and female and alpha male are the main pair and the offsprings. So you have the alpha male, alpha female, and then you have the offspring, right? You have the first generation, second, third generation. And we always refer to the alpha because of that generational part. Now, then in the 60s, there was the idea, in the 50s, the idea was that the dogs have this hierarchy system where the alpha and the beta and the gamma and the delta and the epsilon and blah, 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 all the way down, and then have the omega. This is a ranking system that people believed. And that theory about the dominance hierarchy system, the linear hierarchy system, stem actually from ants. So somebody studied ants. We love ants, so we want to better understand what ants do and how important they are in our ecosystem. And then they observed there is a hierarchy system. There is the workers and the investigators and the pathfinders and all these hierarchies, very complex thing, the whole living community. Because the military wanted to understand how they function. So they recognized there's a linear system. So you see the military system and the ant system are very similar the way they function. But that's not natural to the dogs. Dogs don't have a linear system. They have a complex, non-linear family system. We know that, don't we, right? But we got stuck with the alpha. And then some people went to the next level with it and started creating those weird theories about alpha is the one who's the boss. And that theory came later in the conjunction with the study of wolves with Dr. Mack, who was hired by the Department of Agriculture a couple of years back, I think in the 70s, went out there, studied the wolves in captivity. So his resources were limited because, the funds are limited. He doesn't have much opportunity. So didn't have a GPS tracker. He didn't have like drones flying around observing the wolves. He had only wolves in captivity in that contained area, which came from different places. And those wolves, now we know better, live in a very harmonic level with each other, right? They have their own territories. They're overlapping only 1% overlapping in their territories. They don't have dispute with each other. No, and they have a very balanced family system. They are the elders, the alpha male and the alpha female, right? The breeding pair and their offspring. They create the whole family. And if a wolf doesn't feel comfortable there and he feels the need to leave, he's welcome to do that. Create his own fam. Not in my territory. No, it's not working that way. You're gonna find your own territory. You want girls, you want boys with you, take whoever you want, whoever will come with you, if you feel you're equipped for that. But if you want to take over my family, it's not gonna happen. So we will have family disputes for different reasons, but that doesn't mean that this alpha is the way we think it is. So because we had this humanized projection about human emotions. And don't get me wrong, I'm the person who says dogs behave like people. But animals don't have ego. If there's a dispute or a problem, dog doesn't do that because he hates it, because it's something impersonal. Okay, that's not going to work. It doesn't happen because dogs don't have this ego set. Okay, they're more about community. Okay, about service. So the dog, while we see us, what's in for me in person, how I can benefit, gain more success, people watching me and appreciate me. The dog is like, I am part of that family. I keep that family safe. That family keeps me safe. It's a synergistic system. Okay, and those dogs work in that synergistic couples. So the alpha pair is the synergistic couples and have an offspring. And that offspring can function different ways with each other. It can function like one dog will follow the female and one dog will follow the male. Now, in that context, we have to see that in the first imprint period, we talked in the very beginning, the first 12 weeks, that imprint period is very important because the dog connects with the one he trusts, the one who has a secure attachment relationship with his parents. And the secure attachment goes with the female. So if you look at in the family system, we have a matriarchic, non-linear family system. It's very complex. So the offspring, the latest generation, gets information and intervention from the parents about morals and ethics, about rules, right? And then there's another dog next to him, which is his littermate, who are playmates. And then we have the adults, the more older ones, who are also offspring, but they're later generations. And so we see that there is so much information coming in. The dog can have different type of relationships, secure attachment relationship with one particular dog, usually the female or the mother, and then he has different friendship relationships and peer relationships and relationships to have fun and relationships to go for hunting and relationships to fight about things and do the skills tests and this stuff. And so we will see that the way the things happening in that family are very fluid and it learns throughout the day as they interact. So the way the dogs learn is basically full interactive, consistent information flow. So if the dog is between, 8 and 14 weeks and he's behaving a certain way with those siblings, they're going to go hard on him. That's what you think? No. What they do is they avoid interacting with him at all. And then there's a parent that can intervene in that state. There's intervention and there is restriction. But because dogs are so smart a species, and we only start now seeing the tip of the iceberg. Before we thought there is no icebergs. Dogs are just black boxes. Whatever it's in it, it's like that. You don't know what's in it. Whatever you put in there is what you get. Okay? If you don't put it in there, it doesn't exist. Dog. But the reality is, the dogs are very complex. They have genetic information that we call breed traits. They come in down the generations, and they have switches. If the switch is triggered, then it's activated in that period of time between 12 or between 8, yeah, between 8 and between 6 and 14 weeks. Sorry if I make a mistake here. My numbers are weird. But I need more coffee. How about you guys? Did you guys have coffee? So in this period of time where the switches are activated, the body program goes to that system, check each individual switch. And if that switch doesn't match the environment, the switch has to get off. But imagine a dog is in prey drive and there's nothing to eat. Will he attack his own things? No, right? Sydney, yeah, I agree. We don't talk about these things. Trainers are so misinformed. And I don't consider myself educated. There are very educated people out there. There are scientists who studied from morning to night. So, and my always question was, we look at wolves to understand dogs. Wait, we look at wolves to understand dogs. We live with dogs for over 40,000 years. In the world, there are over a billion dogs. 800 millions or maybe 900 millions are free roaming dogs. They just run around doing free things. Okay? We don't watch them. We watch the wolves. How weird is that? And we do all these studies. Wolves do this, therefore dogs do that. Do you know that an ape and a human are more likely genetically connected than a wolf and a dog? Really? Now, in that perception, I would study apes and I make conclusions about humans. So I would put 4 apes in a New York elevator, have them live there for 24 hours without the phone, and then I make conclusions how people in China live. It's weird, right? So there are people out there who study human-dog relationships in the environment. Anthropologists, they study that. So they recognize how animals interact with humans. How is this connection? They recognize that all species are equal. Humans are equal. Animals are equal. Everybody tries to survive. So there are survival behaviors all the time. And then we recognize that dogs have very complex safety systems. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a very dear friend in India. I don't want to spell the name wrong. And we were talking about how dogs have these complex functional relationships to a point that dogs don't need humans, really. It's their choice to be with us or not. The benefit from it, they're smart. So now during that coronavirus thing in India, where India has very advanced regulations about feeding stray dogs, they call them streeties, and people are allowed to feed dogs. They are not allowed to get involved with them. They are not allowed to adopt them in. They can be free. They are a very important part of the ecosystem. And when the dogs didn't have food from the people on the streets the first couple of weeks, they get very frustrated. They start going after garbage bins. So they went into survival mode. They didn't attack people. They didn't start kill pets. They went scavenging. So if we look dogs from an angle and compare them to wolves, we're wrong right on the beginning, because wolves and dogs make different decisions. We know statistically or scientifically that a dog genetically is most likely to reach out for a human intervention or help than a wolf. We also know that dogs have a sense of justice. So do wolves. So wolves and dogs do have similarities in the way they function with each other, but they are different the way they function with other species because they don't need to. Does a wolf has an experience living with people? No. Is the dog equal a wolf? No. They have common ancestors a couple of 100,000 years ago at some point. Okay, we don't exactly know what, it's just we're guessing it. We don't know for sure. We haven't clear evidence that there was one particular pair of wolves where they made a dog. No, we don't know that. My idea is a different story, but I believe dogs are not exactly what we think it is. Okay, we think they are like wolves, but I think they are the same species on their, no, so they're not the same species. They are the species on their own. There's something happened. There was some genetic intervention. Humans, they always do have scrap things, and we can go back very hundreds, thousands of years back, because really we don't know our whole history. When I went to school, by the way, our school taught us that civilization started 2,000 years before Christ. That's what they taught us in school. That Egyptians were the first generations of civilization. And I was in engineering school back then. I was like, how is this possible? How can you build a pyramid if you just have a civilization which is based on a previous knowledge? Where did this got this knowledge from? And so this is my question too. So if the dog is together with humans 40,000 years ago, and we had so many cataclysms in between, and everything was wiped out, we only referred to bones. A bone doesn't tell us anything other than the genetic modification. And do I know if that bone was together with a human? Yes, we can compare with foods and the location because we found bones where we found people. But you know what? This carbon method and the way they do the controlling of age comparison is not accurate. There could be overlapping. We don't know. So we cannot just make conclusions so simple. Dogs are wolves. That where we treat dogs like wolves because we made the conclusions because we studied wolves in captivity in a zoo in Swiss, by the way. Then we go and make a conclusion about 1 billion dogs out there. It's so ridiculous. So yeah, back to that story. Alpha theory, the way it's presented, it's totally wrong. It's coming from such a narcissistic perspective. It comes in from an angle of men are tough, women are weak, dogs are servants of humanity. It's so sick. Anyway, yeah, there's an alpha breeding pair. They have families, and they function as family. So if the dog comes into your home, he's part of your family. And what other important part is, and I need some coffee. How about you guys? How about coffees? Where are you? Where do you live? I'm here in, I almost said Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here in, Oregon. It's raining outside. Still cloudy. I'm not going out there. No way. My dogs are like, I'm not going out there. I'm going to pee myself. And we're talking about dogs. So this coffee chat is basically all about dogs. And I don't want to talk on my own. Okay? We can talk. We can chat. If you want to hop here on a call, I can invite you, I guess. How do I do that? Oh, I can copy a link and I can invite you sitting next to me having coffee. Is there anyone who wants that? Here, let me share it with you. I'm going to share that link. Hey, Shauna, how are you doing? Oh, you have a Corso. I love Corsos. Good. Now, are you ready for that? I posted the link in the group. That's the link. You're welcome to join. Thank you for sending me likes. I really like your likes. And I love courses. I'm a course specialist, actually. I ended up being one. Don't tell me. Um, so if you want to hop on a chat, don't forget you need a coffee. You need a clear stream, good connection on the internet, and then you join that stream. You're gonna show up on my screen. Okay. If I don't know who you are, you will not be able to join. Sorry, it's a private party, coffee, and then we can talk about stuff. So I love courses because they're such awesome breed. They are so intelligent. I know it kind of sounds creepy. In my previous lives, I definitely worked with courses. Maybe Rome, likely. Definitely was working with Molosser breeds. That I kind of remember. I have such a affinity to those dogs. Um, all these Molosser breeds are awesome. No exceptions. Most of the breeds are based on those Molosser breeds, and they're not looking like herding dogs right now. They look like Great Pyrenees mixed with many different breeds. So when we look into those history, King Molosser was a tribe in Greece. Don't nail me down at the time. I think it was a 600 before Christ. Um, Sorry, don't take my numbers. It was before Christ. So short. Um, they had no. It was before Alexander the Great. So before Christ. Then they were farmers basically. They were in the Epirus area. That's in the center of Greece, mainland Greece. And so he was very smart king, very educated back then. There was a high level of education. There was a university. Um, there was a university already. People sharing information through libraries. So he had recognized that you can use dogs for certain jobs. So he had herding dogs who were guarding dogs in the field. So he recognized that these guarding dogs were very protective, but they're very attached to the person. So he started creating a training center, let's call it this way, and start training dogs for his war protection. So each individual farmer who would come to war would take his dog with him. So he would have his personal guard dog, the Molosser dog. Now, King Molosser was kind of like a smart guy, and he said, you know what? I need allies. So he made friends with his neighbors because, having good neighbors is always a good thing. If things go wrong, if the Persian comes in, you have somebody to defend yourself, right? And so he would gift his allies special trained dogs. Alexander the Great had one. Mhm. So Alexander the Great knew about those dogs, and what he did, he basically ordered as part of equipment that each individual officer will have one of those dogs too. Personal protection dog. And those dogs were very smart. They could read intentions. So you could have fun drinking with a dog, with your friend, sitting on the table, having some watered wine and having some great feta cheese and, some olives and some bread. And that friend would turn against you. That dog will pick it up. And no kidding, you're gonna take him down. There is no sit and stay. Take him down for good, right? Especially if you have something in your hand, you're kind of dead. So what happens with those officers, as Alexander the Great was walking inland towards China, he wanted to, secure the areas. And I have another story from that original story, but it's not time to share that. He left officers in big cities, Alexandrias. So all these cities were named after Alexander the Great, and he left officers and mayors there, and each one had a dog. And didn't have snippy things, these dogs will mate with locals. So all these dogs that you see towards China, they're big dogs, like the Chinese Mastiffs, the Russian Mastiffs. All these are mixed dogs, local dogs, with the Molosser breeds. Sydney, it was nice chatting with you today. Thank you for the coffee. Okay. Welcome to buy me another coffee if you. So what happens? See you next time. What happens is that we have those breeds mate with other breeds that were specific for the area. So imagine a Mastiff breed with a Chow breed mixed together, a Molosser breed with a Chow. What does it make it? Any ideas? You want to give me a name here or something? I'll wait for. I'm not telling you. Do something. We have a. You know what? It's a two-side coffee shop here. You're sitting on the other side. I'm sitting on that side. We're gonna have coffee. You have to do your research. I'm just talking alone on myself. Nah, not a good idea. But you can Google it. Google what kind of mastiffs China has. I'm going to talk about that. So the other thing that's very interesting, that all these breeds have one thing in common. All those Molosser breeds. You know what that is? It sticks. Shana, yeah, you better get more coffee. They are attached to people. Dogs attached to people make good guarding dogs. Dogs who are not attached to people make good hunting dogs. So we have two types of dogs. Dogs who are attached to people and dogs who are not attached to people. Dogs who are attached to people are more likely to show separation anxiety. Dogs who are not attached to people show less likely to show separation anxiety. What is the difference? So when we look back in time, very beginning, where people kind of like having dogs around, all these dogs around us were free roaming dogs. They had no leashes. They barely keep themselves together. I'm not saying these people back then were stupid. We know that there were civilizations before the Egyptians. You thought the Egyptians were smart. You haven't seen previous things yet. And we forgot a lot of things. There were really disasters where civilizations were eradicated. Zero. Niente. Gone. Only few people survived with nothing else than what they remembered. And then some of them start remembering, and some of them start writing things again, and that's what we have now. So Library of Alexandria, Library of Ephesus, they were burned down, by the way, accidentally. But the Vatican has a couple of books accidentally. Okay, I'm not saying anything. Anyway, so there are no books about dogs. Isn't that strange? Literally, we have some little books here, stories about their dogs. But it's interesting that the Egyptian culture had dogs as gods. The Native American saw dogs came in before humans came in. So God created first the dogs, and then he created the humans. And the first humans didn't treat the dogs well, says a story, a Native American story. And so the God took away the humans and brought in better humans. Why would that story actually exist? If dogs are just scavenging, opportunistic scavenging predators that want to eat your kids and kill your animals, it doesn't make any sense. So there's some gray zone here, some things that are out there and we don't know about, right? That's the kind of mystical part. I need more coffee. How about you guys? What the coffee looks like to you? Where do you guys drink coffee? Where are you? I'm in Oregon, and guys, I have to go in 10 minutes from now. I'm gonna drink my coffee, and then I'm up and running. I have another online session, and I really feel sad because there's so many people struggling with behavior issues, and they don't get help because all the systems are down. But you can get help online. So we had now our chat here with some coffee, and you learned so many things, and I learned things too because of your questions. And you can get help online. So here's what I suggest we can do. whoever watches this, I would like you to send me an email or a text message or a message on Facebook, whatever, and let me know, hey Roman, I'm interested in what you do. I want to do an online session with you. Okay? I'll give it for free. No charge, cost you nothing, zero. Zero. You can keep the money buying lots of coffees. But one thing I want to do, I want to do a live video session. You on that side or on this side, right? Me and you together, and we're gonna solve your problem in your house. Me here and you there having coffee. I don't care what the problem with your dog is, literally. I mean, I care, but it's not the problem that I want to deal with. I want you to learn how to handle it. I'm going to teach you how to handle it on the spot, on the screen, you and me. Okay? All I need is a camera. Okay? I want to see you and the dog, so you make sure you have a tripod. Do I have a tripod here? No, a simple thing, just a tripod. No, I don't have one here. A tripod, a microphone so I can hear you, right? A good reception, a Wi-Fi, or a 4G, not 5G. Stay away from it. We're gonna talk about that 5G thing. It's kind of like something I have in my mind to talk about. So we're gonna talk about how to handle. We're gonna break down functional behavior assessment. We're gonna find out why your dog does what he does. Number one. Then we're gonna find out what alternative behavior we can tolerate for the dog to do while we're working on that case. And three, we're going to create a description, okay, where you teach your dog a new process. To do that, we have to create a secure attachment relationship. You and your dog create that click bond where your dog trusts you. So, again, here's my offer. Whoever watches this, send me a message. Roman, I want to be on your live show. I want to test you. You blah, 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 blah online. Kind of do things, think you're doing everything best. Here's my problem. My dog does this. This is my problem. Fix it. I'm not going to fixing it. Who am I? Fixer-upper? No, I'm going to teach you how to do that. We're going to break it down the behavior in individual pieces, understand why the dog does what he does, and then we're going to create a strong bond relationship between you and your dog so your dog follows instructions, right? And then we're going to show the dog an alternative behavior that's acceptable, temporary. We go away from that behavior, or we tolerate it a little bit, and then we're going to switch to an alternative behavior. And then finally, we're going to go to a targeted behavior, what we want finally to have as a result. And I don't want it to be secret. I'm not secreting things around. I'm very open what I'm doing. So you and me, we're going to sit online live, 45 minutes, address that. No force, no prong collars, no e-collars, no shaker cans, no towels, no newsletters. What else? No yelling, no kicking, no poking, not being dominant over your dog. Nothing. Just plain, classic animal parenting. You see those videos where the dog is grabbing a puppy and shakes it, and you see this monstrous kid doing the same thing? Think about that a little bit. Who tells me that this dog who treated that puppy this way has parenting experience? Honestly, how many people who have children have parenting experience? Back in the 40s, people had parenting experience because they saw their parents having experience, whatever. Mine didn't have, obviously. See, how screwed up I am. So, what you see here is that we have, what's that? Yeah, sure, Shauna, we're welcome. Be ready to be on the show. And what we see is some dogs who are removed too early from the litter don't see how parenting is. Because if you are the first generation of this alpha and female breeding pair, you don't see parenting you're experiencing it. But then, if you're the second generation, you're going to see parenting as it happens in front of you and you can observe. So, if a dog is not going through that process to observe parenting, he cannot be a parent. Like, I have no clue how parenting is because my parents, I didn't see them parenting my brothers because I wasn't there. So, you see, parenting is not something that comes in genetically. Yes, you have your genetic triggers like being a mother is not because you feel a mother, it's because what happens inside you and what happens outside of you. So if a puppy doesn't come up and nurtured and wants to be nurtured, the motherhood is not activated because activated by what if nothing is there? So we see that parenting is kind of like a tricky situation. We expect dogs to know how to parent puppies, but they don't. You know how many puppies being hurt by their own parents? Because the parents are overwhelmed with it. And then we are called in to step in. And then what exactly are we doing? Have you ever seen a parent in a 3 or 4 generation family handling his puppies? Have you ever seen it? Have you seen a video of it? Unless you are a breeder, you're a good breeder, and you have these 3 or 4 generations in your house observing them, nobody knows it. Because observing wolves in captivity doesn't give him that information because they change. You remind me how many people wanted to adopt a wolf puppy, a hybrid, and failed because they think they're raising a puppy. They don't. Once the puppy gets to a certain age, that wolf puppy, it's gonna get weird. People get burned by it. Trust me, I've seen it. So, guys, I'm so sorry. I have to go. Really, thank you for joining me today for coffee. If you loved it, send me some hearts. Not a bad thing. You can send me some hugs. If you send me a thumbs down, I'm not gonna buy you a coffee, right? If you like it, you can send me a message, and eventually you can come to the show or get one of those free sessions that I promised. But you have to be live on that, right? No exceptions. And next week, I will have a special guest, and it will be a co-host, and we'll do some magic. Thanks again. I have to go. See you soon, guys.